Oh, time now to welcome in one of our very good friends, longtime scribe for the Detroit Lions, DetroitLions.com. His name, Mike O'Hara. Find him on Twitter at Mike O'Hara NFL. Uncle Mike, what's going on? How are you this morning, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing fine. It sounds like a football Sunday at Ford Field there. You and Danny, what's going on?
I'm just excited. That's what it is. A lot of excitement, draft season. And a lot of times, Mr. O'Hara, a lot of times that this time of year, Lions fans would be looking at it like this is the biggest moment, right? And we get all the jokes in this, that, and third of the Super Bowl, the offseason, and this is the one day we have to look forward to. But this year, this draft feels different. And I think that most fans understand that this year is a little bit different as well because of where the team is positioned.
It's been really a two-step process to get to this third step. And that's what Brad Holmes, the general manager, Dan Campbell, the head coach, just steadily, just chopped away. Here they are, the third year together, and this is a relevant team and a relevant franchise, and set up in the draft, really, Anthony, where the draft can come to them. They don't have to reach for anything. They don't have to chase any particular player. Look, some are better than others. Some decisions are better than others. Some positions mean more than others. But there's no panic there, I don't think, at Allen Park on draft day. They're set up to really add to what already is a good young roster of players who can compete and who can win.
One of the topics that we've been talking about is coming to the realization that is the fan base, are they prepared for the new expectation? Like, it's one thing to, I hope we're good this year and I hope that maybe we shock the world and maybe sniff the playoffs. This team now has, whether it was through Hard Knocks or an 8-2 end of the season last year, or probably a good mix of both, they are now kind of like darlings of the national media as well. I mean, they're covered on ESPN now, NFL Network. They seem to really enjoy our staff and our players. Do you think, have you had that conversation? Has this come up as now the expectation? People in the room are now thinking, hey, we got to go win the division, and we're legit now in being able to say that.
Well, I think they've always wanted to do that, but it's more reality now than just hope, or it's one of those predictions you make before the season that you really you don't figure that you're going to succeed on and fill it out. But what I think is that we had some of the players to talk to, and Taylor Decker was one of them on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and he talked about expectations, and he said, look, expectations are good, but we haven't done it yet. He said, we haven't. He says, look, do I think we have a good team? Yeah. He says, but he's not going to sit here and as he said, rest on my laurels because we were 9-8. But they do expect to have a good team. They expect to compete, but they want to go back and do and continue to do what got them to where they are now, and that's work, put in the time, put in the work, put in the effort, and be ready to play in September.
Were you surprised that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, that they moved on from Jeff Okudah, sending him to Atlanta and getting a fifth-rounder in return? And then after that, what did you make of that compensation that they got in return for Jeff Okudah?
Well, first of all, the compensation was probably all they could get. If they could have gotten more, if they could have, wheedled the fourth-round pick, they probably would have done it. But I think it was a good move for Okudah and probably a good move for the Lions. Did I expect it? I mean, I can't say that I predicted it, but I thought, and Tim Twentyman, my writing partner at DetroitLions.com, when I say writing partner, he does 99% of the work. I do 1% of the wisecracking. But I don't think neither one of us predicted it, but could understand it, because look, when they've signed those three veteran free agents to play in the secondary, where was what room did you have for Jeff Okudah, really? And I really do think that the best thing to do was let him find his way on another team, another franchise. Look, he's had a tough go. He really did. He played 9 games with 4 starts as a rookie. In 2 years ago, second year here, he played part of the first half, went out with an Achilles injury and didn't return. And then last year he played pretty okay for the first 12, 14 games, not so great at the end. So I think it was time. I really do. You just didn't see the growth or the explosion from him that you would expect from a cornerback drafted 3rd overall.
Now, with the additions to the secondary, as you mentioned, Mike, the Cameron Sutton, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, bringing these guys in, throughout the free agency period, being able to sign them, do you believe that changes their draft strategy at all? Or is it very much like, hey, Devin Witherspoon, he could be the best defensive player in the draft. We don't know. Like, we have to wait and see how all of this pans out 4 years, 5 years from now. But he could be a legitimate option for this team at number 6. Do the additions to the secondary maybe make this team and Brad Holmes kind of back away from that and maybe look to address a different position? Or do you think it's completely irrelevant if Witherspoon is there and some other guys that might be on their wish list are gone, then he's a no-brainer?
Well, I think this, you've got to look at it, not just what's good for this year, but what's good for next year. Look, when you're drafting a player in the first round, he's getting 5 years of guaranteed money, so he's not just here for 1 year and he's going to go somewhere else. It's not like it's not like signing a free agent to a 1-year contract, and that's one of the things. They don't have an awful lot of guys, cornerbacks, on more than 1-year contracts. So you want those players to fill needs, not just for 2023, but 2024 and beyond, especially if they're good players. And if you draft them, 6th overall or 7th overall, whatever it is, that you expect them, to be good players. I really prefer, Gonzalez to Witherspoon, but I wouldn't bother me if they took either one, and that would not bother me. I don't think it would be their first choice, Tony. But what I think happens is, and look, it's I don't think the Lions have had this happen to them under Brad Holmes, but they targeted guys they wanted in his first year, and got one of the best young offensive tackles in the league in Penny Sewell. I think it was 7th overall. His second year here, they wanted Aiden Hutchinson. They got him. Might be a little chancier this year, just the way the draft is set up. And so, to me, I think their dream pick, if there is such a thing, barring any trades, just sitting there at 6, would be Tyree Wilson of Texas Tech. I think he would really fit what they do defensively. He's 6'6", 270, got a wingspan. He looks like a U2 out there coming in for a landing. But I think that would be their dream pick, or their preferred pick. I wouldn't say dream pick. That's a little strong. But I think that would be their preferred pick. But he could be gone. He could go 5th. He could go 4th. You never know. And then all of a sudden you just shift gears and do something else. And I think, to me, that's when the cornerbacks come into play. If they don't have the defensive lineman up front that they want, then you go somewhere else. And there really are no bad options. There really aren't.
Your confidence level in Brad Holmes, because I do feel like with the moves that were made, I really thought that Jamal Williams, fan favorite, crowd favorite, he obviously, he moves on and they go and get David Montgomery. We've heard the quotes and all that good stuff about afterwards of, hey, we offered this, they didn't get back to us, whatever the case may be. Jamal was like, hey, I didn't really like my deal that they offered. That's fine and dandy. But they got younger at that position and a guy who is very, very productive in David Montgomery behind an offensive line that just isn't the same as the Detroit Lions. And so when that move was made, goodbye Jamal, hello David Montgomery, like this team might not be where they're at today without Jamal Williams, but to me it kind of showed that, yes, the adults in the room are willing to make the hard choices. And, hey, we might have to pass on a guy like this to bring in and get better at that position. And I wanted to know if that signaled like a boost in confidence in what your belief is in Brad Holmes in this front office as a whole. Did it give you sort of any I guess, jolt of confidence, maybe the best way to say it?
I think it just solidified what a lot of us thought already, and was that, look, pro football and then the other pro sports too, but I think football might be a little more so because of the ever-present prospect of injury and how it can change things for players and teams, in one false step. But no, I wasn't surprised. It's a cold, hard business, and he made a cold, hard decision for a popular player, popular in the locker room, popular with teammates, popular with fans, popular with media. I mean, he was one of those guys. We're talking about Jamal Williams, who really represented the franchise, from day one to the last day he was here, really represented it well. But the business was they had a better running back out there that they could get and sign him right now, and they did. And I think it was the right thing to do.
So you mentioned, a little bit about what the ideal pick might be there at 6. What about at 18? And obviously we have no idea how any of this is going to shake out. So this is literally just throwing a dart at the wall. But what about the Lions' second first-round pick?
Well, it wouldn't bother me if they went and got another defensive lineman. I've already picked out the guy. I hope you're listening out there wherever you are. Brad Holmes. No, it's a kid from the University of Pittsburgh, Kalijah Cansey, 6'1", 281. There's some connections, small sort of connections, between him and Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was the great defensive tackle who came out of Pittsburgh. I think he was drafted 14th overall in I'm not 19. I'm getting old here. In 2014. And look, he's been probably one of the best defensive tackles in the history of the National Football League, or at least one of them. He's on the list. Wouldn't expect that from Cansey, but he's been a really productive player at Pitt. He's, like I said, 6'1", 281. Donald was what, 6'1", 283. Cansey ran a 4.6740 at the combine at 281 pounds. One tick faster than Aaron Donald, and so it's kind of a fun thing, just to match him up with him. He's not Aaron Donald, but I think if he's there at 18, they could be a good pick for the Detroit Lions. But look, there are other good picks there. There's depth in this draft at cornerback. There's depth at tight end, and I think the Lions need a number one tight end. A 3-down player. They've done, after trading T.J. Hawkinson last year, Tony. I think they've done very, very well with what they had left. They were able to get production, especially catching passes, scoring touchdowns, things like that. But I think they need a 3-down, a tight end who's capable of being a 3-down player. So that could be a possibility too. Look, they've got 5 picks in the first 81, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a third. They can do a lot of damage there with those 5 picks. I mean, they are really set up to do some good things for the Detroit Lions.
The possibility of trading back is always going to be there, right? And so at that number 6 pick, I looked to what Philadelphia and Miami exchanged a couple of years ago that was, had Miami able to secure Jalen Waddle. It worked out, really well for both parties, especially Philly, being able to add another first rounder in the following draft. Do you think something like that would be in play for Detroit if Brad Holmes can work that phone line and say, hey, you want to move up 4, 5, 6 spots? We feel comfortable enough with our board that we can still get a guy that we really like and be able to add to the war chest of draft picks for next season?
Well, he also could, look, they've got 9 picks overall, so it's not like they're going to run out of ammo anytime soon. But I think I would be more inclined to trade up than to trade back. I really would. Get that one franchise-type player, and his name is Will Anderson of Alabama. I mean, he's a 3-year player at Alabama, just a tremendous football player. I don't know if he's talking about all-time great or anything like that, but probably one of the top 2 or 3 players in this draft. And he would really fit the Detroit Lions defense. I really think he'd add an element of a speed rusher who can get to the quarterback. He's a very disruptive player. But the guy you talked about, Tyree Wilson, he's a disruptive player too. He would fit just in a different way. They don't have exactly the same skill set. I mean, there's 20 pounds or so difference in weight and a couple of inches in height and wingspan and all of that. But I would be more inclined to trade down now if they don't find a willing partner at 3, for example. The Arizona Cardinals, then look back. It just depends on what's off the board and what's still on it. Well, then it'll be a lot more on it than off it, obviously, because the spot you're in, the 6th pick.
Yeah, I'm really hoping there's a run on quarterbacks. I'm hoping that everybody, let's get the hype train going.
Here.
Let's make sure, Houston, let's go get a quarterback. You guys need one. Indianapolis, let's go get a, I need all that. Carolina draft a quarterback. Hey, Arizona, let's fix the Kyler Murray issue. He wants to play Call of Duty. You need somebody who wants to play quarterback. You guys draft one too, and that way we can get Will Anderson. Because there's something about the Jalen Carter, and I know that Brad Holmes had said that they feel better about him after their meeting, which is a positive sign. Whatever that means, we have no idea because you can't give away too much. You're not going to reveal your cards at the table. But I personally, me as Anthony Bellino, I have a little bit more trust in a Saban product than I do in a Kirby Smart product. Maybe I'll be proven wrong over the years, but these Saban guys tend to work out a little bit. And for Jalen Carter, the red flag of the traffic incident that cost a couple of people within the Georgia facility their lives, that's obviously going to be high in everybody's mind. He's charged with a misdemeanor. That's it. No, not under the influence, so that's good. But then to show up at your pro day and be 9 pounds heavier than you were at the combine, in the reports of not being able to finish drills and looking out of shape and questions about the hustle, like that really, like, I don't know. That looks like a giant red flag to me. What say you?
Well, it is a giant red flag. But one of the things that people say about him that are certainly closer to this than I am, let's put it this way, I don't cover an awful lot of Georgia football, but that from start to finish on game day, he plays every play all he's got. And he's, in that regard, he's a great guy to have on the team. But yeah, there are some issues there. I wouldn't read too much into what Brad Holmes said about it. Was how he felt better about Carter after talking to him. They also, that could mean two things. One, they felt better about him bringing him in, or they felt better about removing him from or not having him on their list. And I'm not saying they do or don't. I'm just saying you could take it both ways too. In other words, if they feel better about their decision not to have him on their board, or not to have him on their board at 6, something like that. You never know.
No, that's it. That's a really, really good point. It definitely could. Whatever they feel better about, they feel better about something, whether it's a positive or a negative. His name is Mike O'Hara. He covers the Detroit Lions, DetroitLions.com. Find him on Twitter if you don't follow him already. What are you doing with your life? At Mike O'Hara NFL. Uncle Mike, thank you so much for your time today, partner. We greatly appreciate it. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, young man.
There he goes. That's Mike O'Hara. Love spending time with him on game days. Oh, it's always a blast. It's always fun. We come over. He's got a notebook, and he has just got that note. That notebook is chocked full of information. I once tried to steal it. I said, "I'll just take this notebook. I don't know what's in here. I don't even know if I can read it. Might be in all pictures. Might be in all hieroglyphics." But Mike O'Hara, one of my favorite all-time people. Greatly appreciate his time this morning.